Listen up, Capricorn. You've spent decades hauling yourself up life's steepest cliffs, clawing your way through storms that would have broken lesser souls. You've built a fortress of grit and determination, and that's no small feat. But if you're between 50 and 70, hear this loud and clear. Don't you dare think for 1 second that your story ends here, fading into some dull twilight of routine and regret. The universe is shifting, and your luck, yes, your luck, is about to change. But let's get one thing straight. It's not going to drop into your lap like some fairy tale gift. The stars don't waste their time on the idle or the timid. This is your wake-up call. And if you snooze through it, you'll have no one to blame but yourself. Time's ticking, and you're not getting any younger. You've poured sweat, tears, maybe even blood into crafting this life, raising families, chasing careers, keeping the world from crumbling around you. That's the Capricorn way, isn't it? Relentless, unyielding, a mountain standing tall against the wind. Well, guess what? The cosmos has noticed. It's ready to hand you a reward. A golden ticket to something better, more freedom, more joy, maybe even more money in your pocket. But here's the catch. You've got to reach out and grab it. Sitting there, wallowing in doubt or clinging to the same old habits, won't cut it. The universe doesn't reward complacency. It's offering you a chance to climb higher, to stand on that peak you've always eyed from below, but only if you're bold enough to take the first step. So, Capricorn, what's it going to be? Are you going to let this moment slip through your fingers, watching it vanish like mist over the hills? Or are you ready to roll up your sleeves and claim what's yours? This isn't a suggestion, it's a demand. Your luck is knocking, and it won't wait forever. Buckle up, because we're about to dive into why this chapter of your life could be the most exhilarating yet. Don't disappoint me or yourself. Capricorn, let's talk about you, really talk about you. You're the iron backbone of the zodiac, the one who carries the weight of the world without so much as a flinch. Responsibility? You wrote the book on it. Duty? It's practically your middle name. For years, you've been the rock everyone else leans on, family, friends, colleagues, and you've done it with a steely resolve that could make mountains jealous. But don't pat yourself on the back too hard just yet. That same strength has a shadow side, and it's time you faced it. You're stubborn as hell, often too harsh on yourself. And, let's be honest, sometimes you'd rather die than admit you need a break. Sound familiar? Good, because if you're between 50 and 70, this is where the rubber meets the road. And you can't keep pretending everything's fine the way it is. You've spent decades building something solid, whether it's a career that's paid the bills, a home that's stood the test of time, or a legacy your kids can inherit. That's your superpower, Capricorn, turning chaos into order, dreams into concrete reality. But here's the brutal truth. All that hard work doesn't automatically mean you've won the game. Too many of you get stuck, trapped in your own fortress of rules and routines, convinced that slowing down or dreaming bigger is a luxury you can't afford. Newsflash, it's not a luxury, it's a necessity. And if you don't see that now, you're setting yourself up for a life of what-ifs instead of hell yeses. This age, 50 to 70, isn't just another decade to slog through. It's a cosmic turning point, and the stars are screaming at you to pay attention. Saturn, your ruling planet, comes back around in its second return between 58 and 60, holding a mirror up to your life. It's not here to coddle you, it's here to demand answers. What have you built? What's working? What's holding you back? This isn't a gentle pat on the head, it's a stern teacher grading your homework. And the grade depends on what you do next. You've laid the foundation, Capricorn, but if you think that's enough to coast into the sunset, you're dead wrong. The universe didn't design you to stagnate, it built you to climb, to conquer, to stand taller than ever before. But here's where you trip over yourself, that damn need for control. You cling to the familiar like it's a life raft, afraid that change means failure. Stop it, right now. That mindset is a chain around your ankles, and it's keeping you from the view at the top. You're not 30 anymore, juggling a million things at once. But you're also not 80, ready to call it quits. This is your sweet spot, where wisdom meets opportunity, if you're brave enough to let go of the baggage. Saturn's return isn't a punishment, it's a reckoning. It's asking you to shed the burdens you don't need and step into the power you've earned. So, Capricorn, take a hard look at yourself. You're a force of nature. But even the strongest mountains erode if they don't adapt. This isn't about resting on your laurels. It's about realizing you've got more peaks to scale. The question is, will you keep dragging the past along? Or will you lighten the load and charge toward what's coming? Your luck is shifting, but it's not a free ride. Don't screw this up by standing still. Your luck is changing, opportunities and challenges. Capricorn, let's cut the nonsense and get to the meat of it. Your luck is shifting. And the stars are aligning in ways you can't ignore. But if you think this is some cosmic lottery ticket you can cash in without lifting a finger, you're delusional. The universe doesn't hand out free passes, especially not to you. The Zodiac's hardest worker, between 50 and 70, you're stepping into a celestial storm of change. And it's going to test every ounce of your grit. Saturn, your tough-as-nails ruler, is back for its second return around 58 to 60. And it's not here to play nice. It's dragging your past into the spotlight, forcing you to face what you've built and what you've neglected. Meanwhile, Jupiter, the bringer of luck, is tossing opportunities your way. And Uranus, the wild card, is itching to shake up your carefully laid plans. This isn't a gentle nudge, it's a shove off the cliff. And you'd better learn to fly. First, the good news, because yes, there's plenty of it if you stop being so damn stubborn. Saturn's return isn't just a reckoning, it's a launchpad. You've spent years laying groundwork. And now the universe is ready to pay you back. Career-wise, don't be surprised if a new project lands in your lap, maybe a consulting gig, a passion you've buried, or even a chance to start something small that grows big. Financially, Jupiter's influence could mean investments from years ago start blooming, or a bold move now pays off in spades. Health? If you've been ignoring your body, this is your shot to turn it around. Get moving. Eat better. Feel stronger. Even relationships could heat up, old bonds might deepen, or new ones might spark, if you stop acting like you've got it all figured out. The stars are practically begging you to cash in on your hard-earned wisdom. But here's the kicker. None of this happens if you sit on your hands. Now, the bad news, because ignoring it won't make it go away. Every opportunity comes with a catch. And you're not immune to screwing it up. Saturn's return will expose every crack in your foundation. If you've coasted too long at a dead-end job, it'll push you to either leap or sink. Financially, Jupiter's gifts can turn to dust if you're reckless. Don't blow your savings on a whim just because you feel lucky. Health is non-negotiable. Ignore that nagging ache or that creeping exhaustion. And you'll pay a price you can't afford. And relationships? Your stubborn streak could drive a wedge between you and the people who matter most if you refuse to bend. Uranus is the real wildcard here. It's itching to topple your comfort zone. And if you fight it, you'll lose. Change is coming, Capricorn, whether you like it or not. The question is, are you going to ride the wave or drown under it? Let's be real. You're not some starry-eyed dreamer who trusts fate to sort itself out. Good, because fate doesn't care about your feelings. This shift in luck is a battlefield. And you've got to show up armed. Don't kid yourself into thinking you can coast through this on autopilot. That job offer won't chase you down, you've got to pitch yourself. That financial windfall won't materialize unless you crunch the numbers and take a calculated risk. Your body won't heal itself, you've got to drag yourself out for a walk or ditch the junk food. And those relationships? They'll wither if you keep hiding behind your walls. The stars are giving you a shot. But they're not your babysitter. You've got the tools, discipline, experience, sheer willpower, so use them. Or watch this golden window slam shut. Capricorn, this is your moment. But it's not a gift, it's a challenge. The universe is daring you to prove you've still got fire in your belly. Don't stand there gawking at the horizon, start climbing. You've got no excuse to fail, except yourself. Heartfelt advice. Taking action to embrace it. Alright, Capricorn, take a deep breath. I've been tough on you, maybe too tough, but it's only because I see what you're capable of. You're not just a survivor, you're a builder, a warrior, a soul who's weathered storms I can only imagine. Between 50 and 70, your luck is shifting, and I'm not here to scare you into action anymore, I'm here to hold your hand through it. You've got this incredible chance to reshape your life. And I believe in you. Even if you're doubting yourself right now. Let's walk through this together. Step by step. With some real, honest advice to make sure you don't just survive this change, you thrive through it. Ready? Let's do this. Embracing the good stuff. First, let's talk about how to grab those opportunities with both hands. You're a master of patience. Capricorn, that's your secret weapon. Use it. If a career chance pops up, don't rush in blind, but don't let it pass either. Sit down for 30 minutes with a cup of tea and sketch out a plan. How could this work? What do you need to make it happen? Maybe it's dusting off an old skill or pitching an idea you've kept quiet about. Financially, this is your time to shine. Look at your savings. Could you invest a little somewhere smart? Like a low-risk fund? Even $50 a month adds up. And don't be afraid to dream a bit. Maybe it's time to take that trip to Tuscany or start that garden you've always wanted. You're not too old to try something new. I promise. Start small if it feels safer, a painting class, a new recipe. You'll surprise yourself with how much joy it brings. Facing the tough stuff. Now. The challenges, they're real. But they're not unbeatable. Money can slip away if you're not careful. So let's get practical. Grab a notebook or download an app like YNAB. You need a budget, and track every penny for a month. It's tedious, sure, but it'll show you where you can save, and where you can splurge without guilt. Health? Oh, Capricorn, I know you've pushed your body hard. Start with something gentle, 10 minutes of stretching in the morning. A walk around the block. I tried yoga at 55. And it felt like a gift to my creaky joints. You deserve that too. And relationships? This one's tricky, but so worth it. Sit down with your partner, your kids, a friend, anyone you've been too busy for, and just talk. Say, I've been thinking about us. And I want to be closer. It's awkward at first, but it's like planting a seed that grows into something beautiful. Tools to help you. You don't have to do this alone. Pick up Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a game changer for building routines that stick. Like saving $10 a week or walking every evening. If your mind's racing, try the Daily Stoic podcast, short, wise bites that calm the chaos. And if you're feeling lost, write it down. A simple journal, 5 minutes a night, can untangle your thoughts. I've seen it work wonders for Capricorns like you, who carry so much inside. A little nudge. Look, I get it, change is scary. Even when it's good, you've spent years being the strong one. And letting go of control feels like falling. But here's the truth. You're not falling, you're stepping into something better. I've watched Capricorns like you transform at this age, starting businesses, mending families, finding peace, and it starts with one tiny move. Maybe tomorrow you call that friend you miss. Or you Google, beginner yoga near me. Small steps, big wins. You've carried the world, Capricorn, now let it carry you a little. I'm rooting for you, every single day. Inspiring stories, real Capricorns, real triumphs. Capricorn, by now you know the stars are shifting. And I've given you the tools to grab this moment. But sometimes, words on a page aren't enough, you need to see it. Feel it, believe it through someone else's story. So, let me introduce you to two incredible Capricorns who didn't just wait for luck to find them, they went out and claimed it. These aren't fairy tales, they're real people. Just like you, who turned their 50s and 60s into something extraordinary. Pull up a chair, grab a coffee, and let their journeys light a fire under you. Because if they can do it, so can you. I'd bet my last dollar on it. Linh, 63, Hanoi. Meet Linh, a Capricorn through and through. For 35 years, she was a government accountant, crunching numbers in a gray office, raising 2 kids, and keeping her family afloat through Vietnam's tough economic years. By 60, she'd retired, thinking her days of making a mark were done. But Saturn's second return hit, and something stirred. Linh had always loved crafting, little wooden trinkets she'd make for her grandkids, and one day, her daughter said, "Mom, why not sell these?" Linh laughed it off at first. Start a business at 60? Ridiculous. But that Capricorn persistence kicked in. She started small, selling at local markets, using every ounce of her budgeting know-how to keep costs low. 3 years later, At 63, her handmade goods are in shops across Hanoi, and she's got a tidy income that lets her spoil her grandkids, and herself, without worry. Linh told me, I thought I was too old to dream. Sophia, turns out, I was just getting started. She didn't wait for permission, she took her skills, her patience, and built something new. Sound like anyone you know? David, 57, Sydney. Then there's David, a 57-year-old Capricorn who thought his luck had run dry. At 54, he lost his job as a logistics manager after 25 years, downsizing. They called it. He was gutted, angry, convinced his best days were behind him. Bills piled up, and his confidence sank. But around 55, as Saturn circled back, he started reading about the stock market, something he'd always dismissed as gambling. David's no fool, though. He's a Capricorn. He didn't dive in blind. He spent months studying, watching free YouTube tutorials, paper trading with fake money until he got the hang of it. By 56, he invested a small chunk of his savings, nothing crazy, just enough to test the waters. A year later, his portfolio's up 30%, and he's not just back on his feet, he's teaching his teenage son how to invest too. I was terrified, he admitted to me, but I figured I'd already lost everything once. What's a little more risk? David turned a crisis into a comeback, using that steady, stubborn Capricorn spirit to climb out of the hole. He didn't need a miracle, he needed a plan, and he made one. What they teach us, Linh and David aren't superheroes. They're you, Capricorn, people who've weathered storms, carried burdens, and still had the guts to pivot when the stars shifted. Linh could have stayed retired, sipping tea and watching life pass by, but she chose to build. David could have sulked, blaming the world for his layoffs, but he chose to learn. They didn't have it easy. Linh's first market stall barely broke even, and David lost sleep over his first trades. But they leaned into what makes you Capricorns unstoppable, that quiet, unshakable resolve. They took small steps, selling a trinket, buying a stock, and those steps snowballed into something life-changing. You've got that same spark, even if it's buried under years of, I can't, or, it's too late. It's not too late. It never is. Your turn. I'm telling you these stories because I see Linh and David in you. Maybe your dream isn't a craft stall or a stock portfolio. Maybe it's fixing up that old car in the garage, writing the memoir you've always talked about, or finally taking that trip to the Alps. Whatever it is, you don't need to leap off a cliff to start. Linh began with a handful of trinkets. David started with a free video. You can start with a phone call, a Google search, a scribbled note. You've carried so much for so long. Capricorn, now it's time to carry yourself towards something that lights you up. I've watched Capricorns like you transform at this age, and it's breathtaking. Linh found joy, David found purpose. What will you find? I'm dying to know, because I know it's going to be amazing. Capricorn, we've been on quite a journey together, haven't we? From the stern wake-up call to the heartfelt stories of Linh and David. I hope you're feeling that spark, the one that says, yes, this is my time. But before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. You're not just a reader to me, you're part of this Zodiac Wisdom family. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You're out there, maybe in a cozy flat in London, a bustling suburb in Chicago, or a quiet village in Tuscany, living your life, carrying your dreams, and I'm dying to know, what's stirring in your soul right now? This isn't a one-way street, it's a conversation, and your voice matters. So, tell me, have you felt this shift in luck yet? Maybe it's a little win, like finding $20 in an old coat, or something bigger, like a job offer that made your heart race. Or maybe you're still waiting, wondering if the stars have forgotten you. They haven't, I promise, they're just waiting for you to meet them halfway. What's got you excited about this chapter of life? Is it the thought of more time for yourself? A chance to chase a long-lost passion? Or just the peace of knowing you've built something solid? And what's holding you back? Fear? Doubt? That pesky Capricorn habit of overthinking? Lay it all out in the comments below. I read every single one. And I'd love to chat with you. No judgment, just us, figuring it out together. If you need a little extra nudge, I've got some goodies for you. Check out my latest video on Zodiac Wisdom. Capricorn's Golden Years Guide. It's packed with tips to kickstart this phase. Or dive into my article, Thrive After 50, A Capricorn's Path, for more inspiration. And if you're a podcast fan, try Astrology for the Soul. It's like having a wise friend in your ear while you sip your morning tea. These are here for you whenever you're ready. We're a team, Capricorn, you, me, and every soul reading this. So don't be shy, drop me a line. What's your next step? I can't wait to cheer you on. Your time is now. Capricorn, here we are, the end of this wild ride. But really, it's just the beginning for you. If you take one thing from these pages, let it be this: between 50 and 70, your luck isn't just changing, it's yours to shape. You've got Saturn's wisdom, Jupiter's blessings, and a lifetime of grit in your bones. This isn't a fluke or a fantasy, it's a golden window. And I'm begging you not to let it close. You've carried so much for so long: family, work, the weight of the world, and now, the universe is handing you a chance to carry yourself towards something brighter. Don't you dare doubt you deserve it. Because you do. I see it, even if you don't yet. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight, that's not your style. And it doesn't have to be. Start small, but start today. Jot down one goal: saving $10 this week. Walking around the block, calling that friend you miss, and do it. Those tiny steps are how mountains get climbed. And you, of all people, know that better than anyone. Lynn built her business one trinket at a time. David grew his wealth one trade at a stretch. You've got that same quiet power, that same steady heart. This is your season to shine, Capricorn, not by luck alone, but by the strength you've always had, paired with a little courage to try. So, go on, make it happen. I'm here, watching you with a big, goofy grin, because I know you're about to surprise yourself. You're not just a survivor, you're a creator, a dreamer, a force. Your 50s and 60s aren't the end, they're the peak you've been climbing toward all along. Stand tall, breathe deep, and take that first step. Your luck is waiting, and it's got your name written all over it. I believe in you, Capricorn, more than you'll ever know. Now, go make it yours.